Well, hello again. Good heavens. Welcome to the Reloved Guitars workshop. This is Sam, your host, and just running the video for a moment to introduce you to an unexpected acquisition this weekend, and it's this. It's a Encore left-handed, I should be holding it this way, left-handed, see, I'm not used to that, am I? An Encore left-handed Les Paul copy, and pleasant surprise when I picked it up is actually the much higher quality Blaster version. So it's not the basic Encore, it's actually the Encore Blaster. I've forgotten what the number is, but you can tell because it's got the Guitar Tech humbucking pickups on it, and also it's incredibly heavy. In fact, it's as solid and as heavy as the V100, and I probably wouldn't be surprised if it's basically the same, exactly the same unit. The only difference is this is a bolted on neck, and a different looking fretboard. Doesn't have a binding down the edge of this. It's just got lacquered rosewood. But it's actually a very, very nice guitar. Comparatively nice guitar, I should say. At the moment it's not fantastically nice because it's pretty filthy, but this will shine up beautifully. Bought it from a young guy in town. And yeah, it's sort of years of teenage abuse, but it plays. I've run it through the amp already, and so I will be looking to convert this one into a really nice condition guitar. And you can tell it's a Blaster because, not another reason, it's got the business here about the partnership with Wilkinson, and it says Encore, a John Hornby SKU product signed by Trevor Wilkinson. So yeah, pretty mucky at the moment, but really, really solid guitar, and a very good guitar for a learner. So just really good bargain, good price, and you know, would be worth doing up. So yeah, Encore Les Paul copy, left-handed. Right, so that's the second left-handed guitar we've had in here. First one was a gift from my younger brother, and this one will be the first one we've listed on eBay. So there we go. Hi folks, Sam at Reloved Guitars here, and we're just getting going on this very, very chunky and substantial Encore Les Paul copy, but it's the Blaster series, and it's a left-hander, so everything about it is back to front, of course. It's really, really unloved and mucky, so I'm just going to take it all to bits as we look at it, and just get on and give it as much of a clean as we go. And this has all the makings of a really, really good guitar. The fingerboard is incredibly dried out. So it looks like it benefits for some wonderful oil or something. And yeah, I think the whole thing will looks like it will benefit from just some general good reloving twang. But as I said a minute ago, surprise, didn't expect an Encore Blaster, so this is slightly better than we could have hoped for, and I think the quality of these Blaster series guitars, I think, is really good. Yeah, they are really a good contender for a starter guitar, and if you were to get your hands on this, you'd feel the weight of this thing is quite something. Now, these already, as I'm pulling this off, these tuners are rattling and wobbling all over the place, so they're not very well attached. But actually, this guitar is really suffering from neglect more than anything. So I have a feeling, if I can even get these wires out, I have a feeling that this is actually going to be surprisingly good, or even easy, because rather than anything being seriously broken or out of order, I think what we're going to find is this is mostly, oh God, grime and dirt and things come loose and things falling off. Bits of wire going everywhere at the moment because it is manky. Having to cut things to try and get the wires off here. Now, everything about this guitar says old and knackered, and you know, you wouldn't want this guitar. Please, if only can get these old strings off. Yeah, it's not, it really isn't, nothing attractive about it at this stage at all. But we aim to change that. I can just get these old strings out. Probably one of a good sign of how badly unloved this is. The fact that it's taking so long just to remove the old strings, and that shouldn't be the case. But, and to chop them off in different places. Right. Oh, and as always, they go straight into your finger. Gee whiz. And I can't even see where it's stuck in. That's my amazing restraint there. Didn't swear. Okay, so off comes the tailpiece. Go the rest of the strings. Out come the posts at the back, and hopefully, whoa, come back. Hopefully everything's in order. Off comes the tunematic bridge. Out comes the bridge posts. Let's get off this. Let's not do with that. Let's take off the scratch plate. Just let us get access to the whole of the body, because I think it'd be good to give this a really good clean. So, ooh, horrible dust under there. Pull off these knobs, and they came off pretty easily. Straight into there with all this. We can clean those a little bit later on. The switch is all over the place. Yikes. A bit worried about that. Now this is a bolt-on neck, so in this case, unusual though it is for a Les Paul copy, I'm going to take the neck off, detach it from the body, which is kind of weird for a Les Paul, but I'm going to do it. Make sure we've got a good fit. And as always with these things, when you take a neck off, check underneath to see if you've got any shims that hold the neck into a particular position. Also, make sure you do it so that when the neck does come off, it's not going to fall off on the floor. There's a huge load of argument about which is best, the glued neck or the bolt-on neck, and there are millions of musicians and guitar enthusiasts. Wow. Okay, just there goes the plate. Just turning this over carefully. Right, so there's no shims under there. That's a slightly crudely chiselled. It actually is chiselled. My goodness. That's quite an interesting thing. I'll show you up close in a minute. Yeah, a lot of musicians will swear by the glued neck. Swear that it creates more sustain. And I watched a test done the other day by a guy called Scott Grove, who's a guitarist and YouTube type of guy who buys, sells, does up, collects, whatever, guitars. And he did a very, very good test, which I'm quite convinced showed me that in fact the bolted neck sustains considerably longer. But even having done that, what I think is rather convincing test, I've guarantee you there'll be loads of people who will not accept that and will still say, for whatever reason, that the glued neck is vastly superior to the bolted neck. And you know, once people kind of get that in their heads, I suppose they tend to stick with it. I'm the kind of person who I will go with a good argument. Really, it's got to be a good argument to convince me. And I was convinced by his experiment with the bolted neck. So all of that bodes well for this, which is pretty good. But if you have a look in this cavity here, you can see that whereas these guitars, you might expect them to be routed, this has actually been done with a chisel in rural China somewhere. And you can see right down, there's nothing routed about that. There's no machine going on. In fact, you can even see where they've got into the corners and hacked away at it with a chisel. It's amazing. And of course the telltale sign is this quite uneven floor here. On the basis they figure that, wow, it's quite astounding actually. You must figure that it doesn't have to be that accurate to hold in place. When I built my own little travel guitar not so long ago, my floor of my neck pocket was way flatter than that, and that was by hand as well. So it's obviously about, it's all about time and money out there in wherever this is made in rural China. So I'm not going to incur the wrath of the internet gremlins. I'm going to use some more, what do we call it, you know, that stuff, lighter fluid, to clean up this guitar to begin with and get some of the grime off it. And we'll get there. It's pretty mucky to start out, but that starts to come off. It's also takes a bit of the Guitar Tech logo with it, I suspect, but that's the price you pay for getting somewhat cleaned up. And you can chuck it straight on, remembering of course that lighter fluid is unsurprisingly highly inflammable, so you don't want to be doing this in a place where you're smoking any cigarettes or having a barbecue or anything like that. And this is going to take quite some scrubbing to get all of this goo out. So that as I'm doing this, I can feel the pickup rattling, so even that's been kind of come loose over time. But as I said, I think this guitar is probably suffering more from neglect than it is from any fundamental problems, which is positive, I think, at this stage. It did play when I tested it at the point of picking it up, so I'm just trying to get some of the kind of major gunge off, which will polish out a bit in a minute. Let's see what we've got. Lots of rattling things. This is not so bad. There are scratches in here. Oh, hello, Morris. Welcome, Morris. Yeah, there are quite a few scratches, but actually it's not even in as bad a condition as the V100 body that I've just been working on. Same manufacturer, by the way. Yeah, Morris, you don't like that petrol smell, do you? Don't blame you though. Right, I'll just chuck a bit on here for an all over quick rub down. Yes, lighter fluid, inert, well, whatever the word is, harmless to guitar lacquer, which this will be. Nitrocellulose, I expect. Can't see why it would be anything else. And it'll be, I don't even know what the wood is on this, so it'll be some Chinese hardwood sourced locally. I think for some of the more expensive guitars, the Wilkinson people apparently export or import some hardwoods to China, but I think in the case of things like these budget level guitars, I think this is just locally sourced hardwoods, equivalents of mahoganies. I think if it says mahogany on the spec, I don't think you find it's what we recognise as European mahogany. I don't know though, but I don't think the economics would make a lot of sense. Right, so there's a basic body with a couple of scratches on it, but actually just as a quick grab, a few loose things, but as a quick first stop, that's pretty impressive. Plonk that down there for a minute and just concentrate on this neck, which, being the sort of business end of the guitar, really is suffering from extreme muckiness more than anything, and more than the rest of it, I think. So what I'm going to do is just get that first kind of degreasy back once over, get the sort of real crud off it, so I'm not dealing with kind of crap when I'm picking this thing up. No offence to the young guy I just bought it off, but you know, all guitars build up crud from their previous owners, and I think one of the most satisfying things is to get rid of it and give yourself a clean platform to start from. You don't feel like you're dealing with somebody else's DNA. It doesn't take too much, a bit of elbow grease and a squirt of the goo. Once you've done that, then the whole thing suddenly starts to feel quite a lot cleaner, and we'll take these machine heads off too in a minute. But also, God, this neck is dry as a bone. My God, what have they done to it? That's incredible. In fact, I don't quite ever remember seeing. Can't think of ever seen a neck that looks and feels this dry. So I'm going to take all the, seems kind of contradictory in a way, but I'm going to take the previous owner's, some of his finger stripes off, but then I'm going to sort of put some oil back into it with my lemon oil. And I really don't know. I'm looking at this and I'm suspecting that the previous owner has been doing something with this neck. I don't know whether he's been washing it with soap and water or a Brillo pad or something, but it doesn't feel quite right. I've never seen the neck this dried out. Yeah, it's rough. And I'm actually wondering, looking at the state of this, I actually think this neck needs some sanding to smooth it out before we do anything like oiling it. So I'm going to come back and think about that. I'll let you see, I don't know if you can see it, perhaps catch the reflection. It's almost not furry, but it's so dry, it's almost like the splinters coming off it. But we could really make a difference with that, with some micromesh paper actually. That'd be one very, very simple way of sanding this down. And we do it before we do the fret, so that we can smooth out this fingerboard. I don't think you really want to bend strings on that. That's not comfortable. So while I'm at it, I'm going to take these machine heads off. Some of the screw heads have stripped on these. Probably been on and off a few times. I've got some replacements, which is good. Now with this guitar, I don't have a plan particularly to replace the tuners, partly because Wilkinson tuners, in my experience, are usually quite good, and certainly the ones, the Easy Lock tuners that I like to buy, and they're a really good upgrade for your average guitar. But I kind of would hope these tuners would be alright, being Wilkinsons, and because of the fact this is an Encore Blaster, which is a step up from the usual bog standard Blaster. I mean, again, like the rest of the guitar, they are looking somewhat worn out and unloved, and if they really don't perform, if that neglect has damaged them in some way, then we will replace them, because the principle here is that we're going to turn this into a nice reloved guitar. and if it costs a little bit more, then it costs a little bit more. But the principle is to make it worth playing again. And from what I've seen so far, I'm absolutely confident we can do that. It's mostly grime and a strange, I don't know what the word is, it's almost hoary in the old sense of the word. I think it's sort of a medieval word which meant rough skinned, and this fingerboard, I wish you could feel it in this state right now. I can't preserve it in this state, and I don't intend to, but it would be a classic candidate for before and after treatment, and you'd have to feel the difference between the two, because it'd be really quite striking. Now I'm taking off the truss rod cover here as well, which suddenly doesn't really want to come off, and weirdest little details that on the truss rod cover, the original plastic is still on there. It's been played to death, and yet the plastic remains on. That kind of, it's a funny little touch. So I'm just going to undo all of these, and I really don't have to do much because they're all loose. They'll all just come off. And chuck them all in the pile of things to be taken inside and cleaned indoors, which is nice. You can even get a little bowl of soapy water if you have to. Obviously not for the things that could go rusty, but some of the bits and pieces do benefit from a good toothbrushing with some warm soapy water. But as I said, this is encouraging. Everything about this guitar so far is really good quality. And actually, having bought one Encore Blaster, but the Strat version, and having got a bit of a lemon with it, because of the state of the neck, or the cracks in the neck pocket, plus the fact that it was a bit plasticky, maybe not the right word, it was a little bit sort of bubble gum-ish, not only because it was pink, but there's something about the kind of all the finish and all the parts on it feels a bit bubble gummy, so it didn't give me that sort of solid, serious axe feel, whereas this does. This has considerable weight to it. Okay, so good start. All the parts are off, and we've got the neck standing free on its own, all in order, no splits, breaks or anything. Good quality, but like I said, this is incredibly dried out. You could call it rosewood, who knows what it is. Kind of hoary, dried out rosewood. But we have some choices with this. We could either just soak it with oil, which just makes an oily fingerboard, which I'm not sure I really want, or we could take our favourite thingy, micro mesh, and we could pick a couple of grades of this, and we could go over this fingerboard and smooth it out. So we might want to go from 1800. Actually, we want to do it pretty much all. I'll follow the whole sequence actually, just to get it right. It gets kind of difficult up there. But there's water up. Let's see what it will do. I'll pick the first fret as an example. Wow, it is really dried out. Now this is going to not dry it out, but it will seem like it's drying it out a bit. But what I'm doing is I'm smoothing it more than anything. And probably don't need all the grades. This is not critical to get it completely 100% shiny. already it's smoother than the side, the thing next to it. So let's say we go those two, and I'll just pick a something like, let's take a 3600 and see what happens. So we're jumping quite fast forward on the grades here, but I don't think we need all of the levels to get where we want to get. I think we can do it fairly quickly. Just making a nice light coloured paste, and then I'm going to get a cloth. I'm going to just have a quick feel. So already that's a completely different texture, and I might suggest one more. So we went 3, 6, and I'm going to pull out a 6000 as well. And we'll just do it with 6000, and then we'll dry it off, and then we'll put some oil on it. Again, it doesn't matter that we're getting the frets involved in this at this point, because we're going to do a full fret level on those anyway, so they'll get completely resurfaced. I see quite a bit of dirt coming out of this as well. It's ground into this fingerboard from long life, but we're also really smoothing it down now. So that's very, very different. Don't fall out. Yeah, well, even if we do that, that is substantially different. But being a kind of perfectionist, I'm going to take one more. We'll rearrange these all at the end. I'm going to take the 8000 as the final touch, and let's just going to see what this results in, and then when I finish this, I'm going to put a little bit of oil in and have a see. Hello kittens. Here comes the nosy Morris, he's going to wreck everything. That is really smooth. You don't want that, that's a bit poisonous. What you do want to do is really get down, that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. Right, so it still looks the same sort of colour at the moment, but completely different feel. What? You just want some attention, don't you? Morris likes to rub his wet nose against anybody who's willing to do it with him. It's his learned communication with humans. What about this? What do you think of this? Approved? Yeah? Good. Right. I'm going to just put you down because I've got to do a bit more work, Maurice. So just, there's my selection of papers for this job, and I'm just going to use this corner of this green thing here just to really rub some oil into this incredibly dry looking fretboard. Again, most of this oil will rub off straight away, but hopefully it will soak up a bit of it. And yeah, to me that looks like just cosmetically that's a much nicer looking colour, and I think we could. Actually, I don't think we need to do any more. That's smooth, and yeah, it's beautifully smooth actually, and it's a little bit oily too now. Yeah, I'm going to do that to all of these because that's the most incredible thing. But I'm going to stop while I do it, so we'll see you after that's done. All scratches out, then the grade of papers that we've got with the micro mesh will always then take it down correctly to a polish. But it's that first bit, oops, that's that first bit before we move to make sure that we've got the file marks out of the fret is the most critical bit of all. And if we get that bit right, then the frets will smooth up really nicely over time when we work with the micromesh papers. If we don't get it right, we'll end up with scratchy frets that look good but play badly. And the horrible bit is if you do all of that and only find out when you've restrung and polished the whole guitar up and you're ready to go, because then you find it's not playable, and then you have to kind of go a few steps backwards, which means messing up your lovely frets all over again, which is kind of disheartening because it will take you for quite some time. So hello, zoom out. Right, I'm going to stop this section. Hey, hello folks, Sam here, Reloved Guitars Workshop, and we are on the Encore neck. What I like about these Encores first and foremost is actually when you look at the headstock, they're already drilled out for a decent quality sized tuner, unlike something else I have just been sorting out or struggling with, although my drill bit wasn't very sharp, drilling out or over drilling a Epiphone headstock, which by comparison doesn't come with the right size bleeding thing. So it comes only with the holes only drilled for the cheapest, nastiest type of tuners that you tend to only get with the cheapest, nastiest of Encores, funnily enough, or worse yet, the Fender Bullet Squire Bullet Strats, which are pretty cheap, horrible pressed metal things. Anyway, so having had to drill this out, it's not the most perfect of things in the world. It's okay because the tuners will cover up these holes, but the drill isn't ideal for me. It's not the highest quality pillar drill I've ever seen in my life, but it wasn't the most money either. So I'm just going to touch in these so that if I do, well, they just don't offend my eye, basically. But yeah, the nice thing about this Encore Blaster that we've got to the right hand side, or this side here, is that it is a much better quality tuners already on board, and as a result it's drilled out for better quality tuners, which is a good sign. And I found that's the only Encores I've found with a really poor quality tuners are the very cheapest Encore of the range, you know, the absolute bog standard one. Everything after that, including all the vintage range guitars, has much better quality tuners, and that's one of the trademarks, I think, of the Hornby Skews or John Hornby Skews stuff, is that it's better quality in the tuner department. And given that's such an important part of the playability of the guitar, it seems a horrible compromise. And I just, with Epiphone as with the Fender Bullet series, I just can't quite understand how it makes sense to go undercut with such cheap, nasty things. Now I'm going to need to sand this down and put quite a bit of filler lacquer on here to fill this in, but it will be okay by the time I finish with it. Yeah, so now I'm going to go back to the what am I going to do? Back to the Epiphone. No, back to the Encore. So as I said, ready drilled, nice quality tuners. So what am I here to do on this? Well, I am here to get the, yeah, those are the horrible things. Ugh. It fell apart before I even threw it in the bin. So I'm here to do the sanding now on this thing, and I need to switch out my guitars. No, guitars? Glasses. Sorry. It's been a long day in the shed. So I'm going to make sure that I have to hand the things I need. So I need my little magnifying glass. I need my kind of close-up extra reading glasses, specially made. I'm going to concentrate closely on the surface of these frets as I start the process of sanding them, because what I'm aiming to do is to get rid of the scratches made by the fret file and to take it down to a very smooth finish, ending up with a run over with the Dremel, which will actually be a new one of these because that one's knackered, but I'll put it there for a minute. So it's a polishing process, and it isn't quick, and the big secret in this is we've got to make sure that we take out the scratches from the fret leveling file before we go any further. If we don't, we'll just shine it all up with those scratches still on board. So it's key to this is starting with a quite a strong grade, so it's 240 with my fingertips. And the secret here is because this paper is rough enough to take the level down, we absolutely have to prevent or guard against lowering any one fret below any of the others, because we don't want to create uneven frets again. So it's important to do everything evenly. So it doesn't matter if you do take it down a bit, as long as it's all done at the same rate. Why the hell has that done that? Now, being able to see up close on the surface of these frets is the key thing to making progress here. If you can see what you're doing in microscopic detail, then you can make a much quicker judgment about whether you've got the basic scratches out. And that's the key thing. You've got to get these scratches from the fret leveling file out. They're the ones that are going to mess up the playability of this thing if we don't do it. I think this 240 paper sort of falls apart very quickly, so we won't have many goes at it. So after a bit, what then I recommend you do is stop and have a really good up close look. You might need to kind of move about a bit until you can see, get the light reflecting. And to describe what I'm looking at, along the top of the fret, when you get in the right position, you'll see two things. You'll see, first of all, the longitudinal scratches from the paper we've just been using, which is running that way. And you'll also see little pits or dents of scratches that are left behind that don't match those ones that come from the 340. So these are like pock marks, and they're the result. They're the residual scratches from the fret leveling file, and still quite a few in here. So we've got to keep on working on it. I think this piece of paper has nearly had it, so I'm going to switch to the 320, which isn't as harsh as that, but at least it'll be fresh. Like I say, it's about getting those initial scrapes, gouges out. Right, I'm going to bin that. That's had its day. Moving to 320, milder paper, but fresher. So I should do some good scratching right now. Okay, so not bad, getting there, but again, you know, the secret for this is being able to get that close-up view, and whatever it takes, whether it's a bright light, extra special magnifying glass, different prescription glasses, whatever you need to look up close enough to see the surface of those frets is what you've got to do. because we can't move to the next grade of paper now until we've got this, all those gouges taken out. Again, I'm still using my fingertips pretty much because we don't want to flatten these frets off any more than they were to begin with. Again, zoom in for a close-up look. Right, now a typical fret, and one single fret I'm looking at here has, at the moment, of all the scratches, pretty much going in one direction. It's looking good. I saw one tiny little mark over here. There's a bit of extra attention. Point where it can become quite difficult to hold the paper. You get frustrating. Right. It's not so bad. Okay, I'm confident that we've got there. Now I'm moving to 600. Again, the same thing. And what we're doing now is we're taking the 320 scrapes and we're making them finer, replacing them with 600. And the same principle applies. We are looking to take those down and kind of move on when we're pretty confident that we've replaced all the 320 scratches, size scratches, with 600 size scratches. Once you've been doing this a while, it can start to feel really difficult to hold this paper. I don't know why, it's maybe your hands run out of strength or something like that. Again, quick zoom in here, have a look. It's really hard to line up and get the right sort of angle on this, but that looks about right. So I'm now going to move to the easier part, which is the micro mesh papers, and this time I'm going to use an angled block. I'm just going to run up and down with the block. And for this paper, this 1500, I'm going to do quite a long time because we're jumping from 600 to 15 in one go. It's quite a jump, and it may take a little while to wear down those scratches, and you can change sides a little bit. Right, then switch, and on we go through the different levels of paper, right the way down to 12,000 at the end. Very, very fine. looking forward to seeing this Encore going back together again. A real budget guitar, but really pretty amazing quality for the money. Which just reminds me, I'm currently bidding on something which I don't know. This will probably interfere with the recording, but forgive me while it does. I'm just going to see, just bidding on a Gould Les Paul copy thing. It's got 1 hour 18 to go, and just checking to see if anyone's. Well, I would do if it would connect with the Wi-Fi. Put it here for a second. It's probably going to interfere all over the place, but just want to see if anyone's bidding on that. I'm hoping that nobody will, just as nobody did when I was sniping on the Gould semi-acoustic, which I got for a very good price too, which has since become one of my personal guitars. Needed some work. It certainly wasn't perfect. Replaced the tuners. Actually, in fact, the tuners from that guitar are going to go onto the Epiphone any minute now. When the resin lacquer's dried, replacing the horrible cheap ones. Anyway, so we're going down 6,000 now. Definitely in the shining territory now. Not the film, but shining the frets. So, probably on our, around the 40th time I've done this job, and quite interesting to think that in all that time, if I'd have asked the question back at the beginning, just a few months ago, could I imagine being on my 40th guitar neck? And if so, would I have got bored by this point in time? I'm not quite sure what the answer would have been, because I think I suspected I might get bored with it, but actually it's not turned out that way. It's been quite an interesting, fun thing to do, because every one of these guitars is a bit different. I think that's what's nice about it. So there's plenty of things to learn, mistakes to make. So just changing out the buffer pad for a new one, which will see me through these two necks that I've got to do. This Encore and the Ace Pro thing that's sitting down there. The glued neck monster with its baseball bat of a neck. It's a very odd guitar. I'm really looking forward to getting it set up. The electrics don't work at all at the moment, I don't think anyway. There's some wires dangling all over the place, so I'm going to have the... That is weird. That stopped itself. I have no idea why that happened. Oh well. Okay, let's do it. nice. I don't know what this camera was doing, but it had a mind of its own. It switched itself off. Who knows? Right, so a quick clean over before I take the paper off. Just get the main grime off it. We can go over it with the cigarette lighter fluid. What is it? No, what's it called? Yeah, lighter fluid. So long since I smoked or even saw a cigarette. That's not true. Smell them every day, walking past people clogging up the streets of London, smoking outside work. Right, okay, so time to take the paper off. Okay, this is going to need some more oil, this neck. It's not surprising because it was horrendous, if I recall. Dried out and very spiky almost. But it'll recover with some oiling and some care, love and attention. So, here we go. Pull off all the goo. Leaving behind some sticky stuff. Best laid plans go wrong. It's fiddly. At the best of times doing this, it's always fiddly. There's always something that get caught and stuck somewhere. Ooh, there's a great big chip out of that. I didn't notice that. You have to fill that. Not a problem. Clear lacquer. In it goes. We'll overfill the hole. It's just it's a piece where the lacquer's chipped right off the side of the edge of the fretboard. But we can fill it in and then sand it down to meet the rest and blend it in. And you won't even notice. It's a nice thing about doing repairs. Now, one of the things, this is slightly difficult to get this paper off because I think, remember when we put the paper on in the first place, frets are quite high off the fretboard on this guitar for some reason. They're maybe not pushed in very well, but what it means is that the paper went underneath, slipped underneath it when we were masking the neck off. So it's very good for protecting the neck in one sense, but a pain when you come to take it off again. So, patience, you will end up with loads of masking tape goo, but we can remove it with the trusty cigarette lighter fluid, or in my less cautious days I would have used rubbing alcohol, a quick blast of that, and nobody would have been any the wiser. It's that whole cleaning solution stuff gets into some very interesting areas. There seemed to be, when I researched what you should and shouldn't use, there seemed to be a fair consensus about not using things with silicone in them. But that's where the consensus seemed to end, because some of the things people recommended, like, what was it called? Dunlop 65 stuff, which was people specifically said was good for guitars, turns out also to have silicone in, so presumably by the same token can't be good for guitars. So some of the advice is hard to know what you'd follow and what you wouldn't. But I get the point and principle is silicone polishes with silicone, and certainly will make it harder for lacquer to stick to, which is what you want when you're trying to repaint or refinish something. So I can quite understand why it's not advisable to be chucking silicone around. Hence I've stopped doing it. Right, now that's everything done. You can still see our fretboards looking mighty dry after that night underneath the masking tape. So since we've finished this part of the neck, I'm going to just feed it again. Probably can't get enough at the moment. It looks extremely dried out and plank-like, even though we've smoothed it considerably from what it was. It's not a very attractive rosewood. That's what I would say is a weak point on this particular budget guitar, sadly. It's a very light colour. But, you know, saved it, restored it a bit from its horrible sort of thorny, dried out feeling from yesterday, to a smoother feeling generally, which if we just let it sink in, we should be alright. And more than anything else, it needs playing a lot. Right, so that neck is now done and ready. We could actually reattach it to this guitar, and I think it might be a good idea to do that, because the only thing left to do on this guitar, or the only thing this guitar is waiting for, was just to have a tiny bit of black paint scraped off using a plastic scraper, which we can do. You know, we're only, well, were we going to do that? Yeah, we were. Minuscule. Wouldn't even say repair isn't the right word. It's just a tiny touch-up. What I do need is my credit card to do this, which is in here somewhere. But that's now vanished. Oh, there it is. So I will see if we can just level this off. It just takes the top layer of the paint off, and we can then shine it up if we want to, with the micro mesh paper, without having to do much more to the surrounding area. So it's a quick way of flattening the repair, and take most of the paint, excess paint off, and just leave us with enough to shine up, for which we don't need the neck off the guitar at all. So that's a good thing about plastic as well, is it will let you do this without damaging, really doing too much to the surrounding paint. So I've got two little spots there which I can shine at my leisure. There's another tiny one here, in which I'll take the bulk of the excess off. That's cool. There's a little bit left over to fill, but not worried about that. Right, now if I remember, back to our bag of parts. What did we have? It wasn't that, was it? That was parts for. God, what were those parts for? No, this is Ace Pro territory. Get real. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my parts. What am I looking for? All the bits are on here. I'm looking for the bolts for the neck, which I think have gone in here. And that is all these parts. Yes. I'm going to get everything mixed up in a minute if I'm not careful. We still got yes. Now the danger is, no, not the danger at all. I'm still on the right guitar. I'm going to reconnect the neck on this. Everything else in here is spotlessly clean. I made a real effort to clean it up last night. So I'm going to reconnect our necko. place. Just going to hold it to make sure it's where it should be, and then drop in the screws into the corners. Well, they're only 4 corners, so that's where it's going to go, whether I like to or not. And then get myself the drill, put it the right way around. And locate the holes. Okay, so I'm just going to, as best I can, line up the plate and let the first one bite it in, and then the torque thing is kicking in nicely. Okay, that is our guitar back together with a much happier and much refreshed neck. There's the big piece of bloody wood that splintered off the other guitar that I wanted. Damn. Okay. Overall, this guitar is in a very nice state of finish, so I don't really want to spend too much time on the surface of it, so I'm just going to dust it off a bit before considering hanging it up. We could put the tuners back on straight away while we're here. Since we're on this guitar, I might as well. I'm not going to do anything with the. Not going to attach. Oh, I could attach one string to keep all this stuff in place. Keep all the hardware on board. That might be a smart idea. That way, I won't have to carry it around or have it sitting around in a container like this, at the risk of losing it. I wish I had some more strings, because I'd love to string this thing up, because it's a nice guitar. Right, so what do we got? We have got simples. Which way round are these? And the screw hole is below, so it's not there. The screw hole is up. The screw hole is below, like that. Screw hole is below. I bet this would be indistinguishable from the V100 I boxed up and got ready to send out today. I can't see how it would be that much different. The thing that feels a little bit different, the most different, is the neck. Apart from that, it's almost identical in so many ways. So yeah, let's just get all these bits on and out of the way so we can hang it up. Ready for a final clean and a little bit of polish on those repairs. Here comes Thomas. He's muttering about something. He's arguing with his mum. What's the matter? You're on camera, live in the house, don't swear.
Have you not finished that one yet?
Really?
Are you ready for me or what?
Yeah, you can come and wait here, it's going to take a while, so...
How How long have you got?
I'll put these back in here for a minute. Nice.
Is that a new one?
That's yesterday's. Won't say how much it cost, but it wasn't very much. Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
Left-hander. Looking good.
One's right, look, buddy.
Right, I'm just going to come in. I'm going to hang a few things up. Right, stopping the video for a moment. Bonk. It's quite good as a way of showing you how to do it for the for a low-tech approach. Okay, so in order to split this video up, I'm now going to stop the video.